Hello, my friend. In today's podcast episode, I'm speaking with Ben Pickard, fellow Unicorn Society and Business Unicorns coach. And we're talking about what you can expect from working with a business coach, how to pick a business coach, who business coaching is right for. And so whether you work with us in Unicorn Society or you find some other business coach, I think this episode is really valuable for anyone who's considered working with a business coach before. If that's you, keep on listening, my friend. Here we go. Hello, fitness business nerds. What's up? Welcome to another episode of the Business Unicorns podcast. And today I'm super stoked to be back here again with Ben Pickard. What's up, my friend?
Hello, hello. Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you're now a regular on this podcast because I just love picking your brain, and we get to work together on a regular basis, maybe more than I work with anyone else on the Business Unicorns team. You and I get to work together. So when I get to share what we've been thinking about on this podcast, it feels like, we're really pulling back the curtain to show behind the scenes of how we think about our work at Business Unicorns. So anyway, thanks for being here, my friend. Before we dive into today's topic, which is going to be about how to use a business coach, which I'm really excited for, I want to do a quick little just shout out, little mini commercial, because we started enrollment for Unicorn Society. And if you're listening to this when this podcast was released, we're in the middle of our early bird enrollment for Unicorn Society, which means we have a few spots left. We have a few spots open to join our Unicorn Society. And Ben, do you want to tell them a little bit about how early bird enrollment works?
Yeah, 100%. So early bird enrollment for Unicorn Society will launch on May 29th. And typically we only open enrollment twice a year, once at like the end of the year for a January start and once in the middle of the year for a July start, because we want to focus on serving our members, not be constantly selling. So early bird, you get a bit of a savings and some perks. And then early bird will close on Sunday, June 12th, which is also my birthday. For my birthday, join Unicorn Society.
What a gift. What a gift.
And then registration officially ends on Sunday, June 19th.
Got it. So if you want to save some money, and we're talking about like saving literally hundreds of dollars, sign up before the end of the enrollment period. And even if you're not sure if you want to join Unicorn Society, then just fill out the damn application, follow the link down below, fill it out, and then we'll have a conversation. And frankly, you'll probably have a conversation with Ben as your first step to decide whether it's a good fit. So you don't have to have major mind up when you apply. Applying does not mean we take your credit card and you're in. Applying means you have a conversation with us to see if you're a good fit for us and we're a good fit for you. It's like a first date. And you've heard us, I'm sure, on this podcast, if you listen to any of them at all, you've heard us talk at length about what Unicorn Society is. But Ben, just in a nutshell, who is Unicorn Society ideal for?
Yeah, Unicorn Society is ideal for training gym owners who offer a mixture of one-on-one, small group, or team/large group training. Ideally, you've got a couple of team members in place. You've got a handful of clients. You're already a semi-established business. And that doesn't mean you have to be making 80 grand a month. Semi-established, it just means like it's not your first rodeo. And you're looking to grow your business, not just, I want 10,000 more leads, but you're looking for like, how do I improve my leadership? How do I get operationally efficient? How do I standardize client experience across the board? How do you like plug all the little holes that often end up on our to-do list, but don't become a huge project? So we're really good at helping. And I say this because I've done a ton of interviews now, and I was a member of helping people who are like already kind of established, have their feet under them, but are really now trying to make the leap to like, let's make this a real business, so to speak.
A grown-up business.
Grown-up business. And that means like someone other than you is going to answer member phone calls and emails, but you want to have the same beautiful standard of customer service. And there's a lot going on with beyond just how do we grow revenue. It's how do you get the pieces in place so that you can grow revenue more easily.
Yeah. Well said, my friend. We'll leave it there. So friends, click the link down below in the show notes, visit businessunicorns.com and click the link to learn more about Unicorn Society. Apply, have a conversation with Ben, see if it's a good fit for you. And if not, we might have other ways we can help you. So just be in touch. Which leads us to today's topic, which is kind of funny. We actually planned this topic before we were going to talk about Unicorn Society enrollment, but it kind of dovetails beautifully with today's topic. So today we want to talk a little bit about how to use a business coach, like how to actually get value from working with a coach. Because a lot of you out there have never worked with a coach before. And many of you out there offer, fitness coaching and sometimes nutrition coaching. coaching. But working with a business coach is a little different. And so I want to talk about what we've learned in terms of the clients we work with that really get a lot out of our services. So maybe let's just start with this. Like, who do you think business coaching is ideal for, Ben? And actually, it's not that different than the question we just asked, but just maybe talking a little bit bigger picture, not just about Unicorn Society, but generally speaking, working with a business coach. Who do you think should consider finding a business coach?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I'm heavily biased that I want to go so far as to say like almost everybody,
Yeah.
knowing
Yeah.
that business coaching is an extremely broad spectrum that is an unregulated profession. So instead of my super cop out answer, I do think it's really a good fit for people who are like open to having their ideas challenged, know they want to get to some sort of destination, even if they haven't perfectly clarified that, but aren't really sure of how to get there, and possibly even if they believe that they can get there. As I
Yeah.
like true coaching, as me and you have to discuss, but maybe not for everybody. Like we're not just it's not just saying do this, then this, then this, then this. It's not like on the consulting end of the spectrum, so to speak. It's helping people get clear on their goals, helping identify obstacles, and helping commit to consistent action and stay accountable. So even if, again, kind of cop out answer, even if you don't have a crystal clear goal, a really good business coach, case in point you, that's why I was a member for so long, helps you actually clarify the goals. Like what do you really want and how can you get there? Because there's the obvious stuff of like business coach can help give you better referral strategies, or help you get more testimonials or help you get more leads, and like those are kind of like checkbox items to a certain degree. But like
Yep.
really good coaching is getting not just one layer deeper, but like I think I've actually worded your skills to people like you kind of just cut right through everything I say and get right to the heart of the matter and be like, it sounds like you're struggling with this. And it's like, holy shit, I didn't even realize I was struggling with this. I was operating on the assumption that once I get X, then I'll have Y. When I'm really looking for is like, is
Yeah.
this business what is this business a accurate reflection of my amazing vision I have for my community?
Yeah. Well said, my friend. I want to go back and repeat something you shared, what I think is a great paradigm for our listeners to think about, which is you mentioned the three things that great coaches do. And this is not just Unicorn Side. This is, we're talking about coaching as a whole. And the great three things that great coaches do is help people identify what they want, right? Whether that's goals, a vision, a clear vision of what you want, help them identify and overcome obstacles, notice what's getting in the way and get it out of the fucking way as soon as possible. And number three is to commit to consistent action. So ideally, if you're thinking about getting a coach, that you are someone who you think would benefit from being more clear about where I'm heading, having a thought partner to help identify and overcome obstacles more quickly and hopefully more efficiently. And I want someone to hold me accountable to taking consistent action. So number one thing we hear when working with clients at all is that they mainly want a coach to help hold them accountable, because as the owner of your own business, you're not accountable to anyone. You got no boss. You got no one to report to. And as coaches, we're not your boss, but we get to be a really powerful mirror to you to say, hey, this is what you said mattered. This is what you said you're going to do about that thing that mattered. So did it happen? And if not, we're not here to judge you. We're here to help you get curious about your own behavior, your own mindset, your own habits, right? And get curious about how they might change if you're not getting the outcomes you want from the way you're working. So I just want to re-highlight that those three things you shared, I think, are so critical, Ben. And so let's dive into a little bit. So once someone decides to work with a coach, how do you see people really extracting value from that experience? Certainly, we've kind of already listed a few, but just going a little bit further, maybe give some examples of ways that you extracted value from coaching. You've seen people extract value from our coaching. So yeah, dive in a little deeper.
Yeah, I think the first one that comes to mind is what you said about being a thought partner, because
Yeah.
owning your own business is lonely. It's definitely not all that it's cracked up to be. Don't get me wrong. I love that I'm self employed and there's all sorts of perks with that, but it also comes with some things that could easily be perceived as cons. And one of those cons is you don't have someone in your office building who's like your co manager, however corporate works, where you can just be like, hey, can I run this by you for a second?
Yeah.
Because you can't always run everything by your team. Sometimes, even with their best interests even with their like, even if they're trying to give you their best interest on it, like sometimes they just don't have all the right information for it to be valuable feedback. Sometimes the thing you want to run by them has
Yeah,
to be
it's
with,
about them.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Like
totally.
my trainers have tons of ideas on lots of things, and many of them are great and many of them are not. And oftentimes it's when it's like outside of their lane that it gets a little bit blurry. And it's like, bless their hearts for that. But someone at like a peer at your level who you can have those deep conversations with to be like, I'm really struggling with X. Can we talk about it? Like, those are some of the best coaching calls I've had is when they come in with like, I'm struggling with this thing and I'm open to discussion about it. And having that thought partner be like, as you said, I heard you say you're interested in X, but it looks like you're doing Y. How do we help you navigate that? And even if nothing else, just having that person to like, sometimes all it is reinforcing that does sound like a good idea. What's the next step? But in that case, you're still taking something that could have been you mulling it over for 3 weeks before doing something on it. Be like, cool, I'm going to make sure that's done tomorrow. Like, you just gained 3 weeks of progress time. And that happens multiple times a year. So anyways, first one is a valuable thought partner because it's lonely as fuck at the top, so to speak.
Yeah. Yep.
The second piece I found really valuable for having a coach is, and this is kind of like how to use a coach, but it's not a great use of coaching time to be like, can you tell me about X? Especially at Business for Unicorns, when we have so many done for you resources and videos and courses already created. But using a coach in a way where you've absorbed information from one or a couple different places and you need to like, it's kind of jumbled. It's like if you threw it
Yeah.
all in a bucket and it's kind of just a clusterfuck and you want to bring it to the meeting and be like, hey, I've got this bucket of stuff I think is useful, but can we help like get it organized?
Synthesize,
Yeah.
organize. Yeah, exactly.
For some reason, I have an image in my head about like a kid's beach bucket full of like different toys, and we need to get them in some sort of order for the benefit of the sandcastle. Not sure
Yeah.
what's wrong
Well, I
with
think that the thing you mentioned before, I think was a great example of the kind of thing that people bring is like, I think you mentioned it a few minutes ago, or maybe I just made it up in my head, was referral structure, referral and strategy, right? That I would love for, the best way to use a coach. And this is true for example for us is that someone comes, it's like, here are the last 3 referral programs I had. Here's one I just saw on the, a Facebook Live that you all did, or from our retreat. I got that idea. And then here's 2 others I read about. How do I take all this information and decide which one do I do next? Perfect example of how to use a coach as a thought partner and to help streamline like your synthesizing of information. We're not there to like, the reverse, which I think you said is not the way to do it, is come to a coaching call and be like, tell me about referrals. Right? Like, help me understand referrals. It's like, well, that's not the best way to use their time with a coach. Come with some ideas. And if you really have never done a referral program before, maybe you can start a call like that. But if every call is about like, tell me everything you know about this topic, the knowledge is not the best way to use a coaching call. You can Google us, listen to the podcasts, read our blogs, go to Mark's YouTube, take one of our courses, especially if you work with us. There's so much done for you stuff. And that's the way most coaches work these days.
Yeah.
The knowledge is free. It's the processing of that information and right sizing it for you. That's what a coach can do best. So I just wanted to like yes and your answer. So keep on going, my friend.
Yeah, and that's kind of the antithesis of how we've been taught in school. Like you wait for the teacher to give the lesson, so the method of content delivery is a human telling it at you, and coaching is best served for like the area where the two circles of the Venn diagram overlap, and then figuring out how you can roll out that initiative in a way that fits your business and your values. So, 100%. So I said having a thought partner is super valuable, having someone to synthesize information for you. And the third one, where we're going to get a little more deep here, is
bring it on.
Like just having the emotional support.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say enough how valuable it is to have somebody who is just like in your corner. And I'm not when I was a client, it's not like I was texting you every day or something, but it was really nice to know like if I really am struggling with something that like somebody's got my back, because it often feels like, the government doesn't really have your back as long as you pay your taxes. They don't really like give us your tax money and shut the fuck up is basically the message that I hear. Again, you can bring some stuff.
And for the context, you're even in Canada and things.
Yeah.
So in the US, it's even worse. You're even more on your fucking own. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Like I said, you can sometimes bring some stuff to your team, but I don't know. There's a boundary there, I think, with a lot of things. Um, you can sometimes bring things to like a spouse or a parent. I know I've talked to a few BFU members who like they're a family member is basically like their like CFO or financial officer.
Yeah.
But even then, like I know if I bring work stuff to my wife or she brings it to me, like we've both got a lot of biases for each other's behavior. So it's not like I've even trained myself to I don't do it as much recently, but if she brings me something, I'll sometimes pause the conversation, be like, are you looking at for advice or do you just need to feel heard? And more
Hmm.
often than not, it's actually the latter. So you still got emotional support in other areas, but I know, I started my business when I was 24 and I've been self-employed since I left school. And and we have a son who's now 11. I'm 33. So the reason this has been so beneficial for me, and I'm imagining there's other people out there with similar yet different paths of life that this will resonate with, is like I'm 3 years into a business, learning everything I can, trying to scrape things together to make it work in like the scrappiest fucking business ever, as many gyms are. And then the friends are in life situations where like, yeah, I'm not sure I like my job. I think I'm going to quit, but I might go on vacation. And it's like that peer network, at least when I started out, wasn't to the same
Yeah.
degree. Like there was misalignment there, and it wasn't for
They
better or
just
for
can't
worse.
relate. Yeah,
Yeah.
they just can't relate. It's like if you have a corporate job, you work for someone else. It's hard to relate to someone who works for themselves.
Yeah.
It's tough.
And we wake up at early as hell in the morning, so it's like, yeah, I don't really want to go drinking, which is when most could come. Like, yeah, it was hard to go out of your way.
Yeah.
So this is my roundabout way of bringing it to like having that emotional support from someone who has your best interest in mind, whether you like the thing that just came out of their mouth or not. I know it's best interest in mind, but can also like see the whole picture from an unbiased point of view. There's like true coaching, as you've told me many times. There is no agenda. Obviously, we want the person to get to their goals, but how we get there is not set in stone by any stretch. So having that person who's got your back and you can bring them pretty much whatever, knowing that even though to an observer these might feel like completely different buckets, like we know that work and life don't completely separate.
Yeah, we're not two separate people. Yeah,
No.
unless we're in the Apple TV show Severance, and then you are two separate people. Have you watched Severance at all?
No, but I
No.
really like I
We'll go
like
on a
Apple
tangent.
TV.
I want to start a new podcast about Severance. So listeners, if you haven't watched the episode, the TV show Severance on Apple TV, go watch it. It's wild. It's about this topic. Um, Okay, so yeah, I'm going to add one more thing to your list because I think that's a fantastic list, right? Like emotional support, thought partnership, etc. Like those are, I think, all fantastic reasons that people can benefit from coaching, or ways people can benefit from coaching. The other thing that I think is really important, and I've come to this after having been a business coach for many years, is I think the best kind of business coaching offers you, dear listeners, both coaching, which Ben described here as kind of like a non-agenda, open-ended question, motivational interview approach to helping you explore yourself, right? Get curious about your choices, get curious about your mindset, get curious about your habits, get curious about what's working and not working for you. Like there's a pure coaching element that I think business coaching has to offer. Then I think also really good business coaching also offers some mentorship and consulting. I think business coaching has to do all three. And for me, mentorship is working with people who've also done what you've done, to actually have some subject matter expertise and experience running the kind of business that you've run. And so that's one piece of it. And that way, as a business coach, I can not only help you explore what's working and not working for you, but I can also say, here are 3 ways that I've tried to attack this problem, and 3 ways I've seen other people try to attack these problems. Let's work through all these different options and find out what's best for you. Right? I'm bringing some mentorship to the conversation as well. And the third piece, consulting, is exactly what it sounds like, is someone who's actually has enough expertise. They can help you diagnose problems and actually offer some solutions, right? And sometimes I offer solutions that are not things that we've done at Mark Fisher Fitness, that are not things that I've seen other Unicorn Society members do. They're things I just thought of because I'm an expert in some areas and I have a brain that works and is thinking about these things a lot, right? And that's just straight up consulting. I'm going to bring all the data I have and experience I have to the table and help you diagnose a problem in your business and offer some solutions. And I think all 3 are really important for business coaching these days. I don't think it's enough. And I think if you would have asked me this 6 or 8 years ago, I would have probably said that the first bucket was enough. that just offering pure coaching is enough. And I think it can be, depending on the kind of person you're working with, et cetera. I can talk a lot about that. But I think for most of you, dear listeners, who own gyms, the kind of value you want to extract from a business coach is someone who can offer you all three, who can offer you those big picture questions and those motivational interview, open-ended questions, someone who can offer you examples from their experience and some mentorship, someone who's maybe 10, 15, 20 steps ahead of where you are in your business, and someone who has some real subject matter expertise and can be a real consultant in helping you solve problems, gain knowledge, etc. So yeah, I would say, I guess what I'm suggesting there is that you will get more value from a business coach if they are well-rounded in all three of those areas. Does that track, Ben?
Yeah, I was just going to reinforce that if you didn't clarify it, because on the pure consulting end, it can be like, hey, we're not converting enough of our members from a low barrier offer to a membership. What do we need to do? A consultant can go in, review what they've got, and be like, this is good, this is good, this is fuck, just do that. And on the other end of the spectrum, a coach can be like, what makes you want to improve your conversion? Like, there can, obviously that's a bad question, but there can be some good open-ended questions. But the marriage is beautiful because then you can have someone who has the industry expertise to be like, yep, this is the step that's missing and it needs to be changed. But then they can factor in the other stuff around, like, how does this fit in to your time? How does this fit into your capacity? Because I've seen some coaching programs out there where it's like, well, you just need to do A, B, and C. And it's like, yes, but if you have a kid at home and you're coaching 30 hours a week on the floor and you've also got a laundry list of other to-dos, it isn't so much the question of like everybody knows they need to try to convert people. There isn't a magic script for this. The obstacle is often a capacity or a limiting belief or a mindset thing, which is where that coach being able to shift gears into like, let's talk about the big picture here for a minute is so much more valuable. We're not just a dictionary of answers. It's how does like life and business fit together in a way that, at the end of the week, hopefully your bank account is bigger, but you're also more fulfilled and not burnt out.
Yeah, I think really well said. Because there's plenty of times where, both in my work with business coaches and then in my own work as a business coach, like it's very clear that the topic just requires some expertise who has some knowledge. If someone comes into a call and it's like, I'm stressed about finances and I pay all of my coaches 80% of the revenue they generate per hour, I don't need to ask you any open-ended fucking questions. Like, I don't need to explore. We need to tell you that is wrong. We need to fix that, right? This is a bad choice that was made. And I can acknowledge and validate all the reasons why you maybe made that choice, right? But ultimately, I don't need to explore. Whereas if someone comes to me and says they're just feeling really burnt out, they have too many plate spinning and they don't feel good about the father that they're showing up as in their life, then I need to have a real coaching conversation. Like that's a real chance for me to switch gears and dive into what's working and not working in this person's life. And that's a whole different skill set. So I think, those are two very extreme examples of very different conversations. And I think that you can get more value from a business coach if they're able to put on those different hats. And as we both suggested, a lot of business coaching out there only offers one. And again, this is not a commercial for us. Of course, we think all of you should work with us. That's not a hidden agenda here, right? But at the end of the day, if it's not us, we want to make sure that you're finding people out there to work with that can put on these different hats for you. That I would say run away from the programs that tell you they have some secret formula to success. And if you just follow their formula, everything in your life will be fantastic. Bullshit. I also want you to avoid the ones that are also going to just, be like, we get together every month in a drum circle and write poetry about our business problems. Should also run from that as well, right? I think, the reality is you need, I think business coaching should be a mix of those things. I love a drum circle. I love poetry, but it doesn't solve all of our problems. It can solve a few.
Yeah. And even just you made it sound like those were two opposite questions, which there are. But even on the, hey, you're paying your coaches 80% of gross revenue or per session rate, like there's probably a PDF out there that is like, yeah, just fire everybody and pay them 33% or 40%. And coaching can then dance that line between here's the problem that needs to be solved, but here's how we actually roll that out in a way where your coaches don't all fucking quit and it takes you 3 months to get new ones. And there's an impact of that. And that we can't stress enough. It's the marriage of all it's being able to walk the whole spectrum that is a strength. It's not A is better than B. They're all useful at different stages.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's it. I think people can get more. I think our whole hypothesis here, this podcast episode, is you can get the most value from a coach when they have a big toolbox. right, and a proven track record of helping people using more than one tool, right? And the tools we think matter are straight up coaching, consulting, and some mentorship, right? So the combination of those things that are really valuable. Maybe let's just wrap it up with, what are the kinds of results you've seen people get working with a business coach? Maybe just thinking about yourself, certainly some of our Unicorn Society members, or just anyone else working with a business coach, even outside of us. What are the kinds of results you've seen people get who've been able to work with a business coach successfully?
Yeah, I mean, the most obvious one is revenue, because I have yet to meet a gym owner who doesn't want to increase their revenue.
Yeah.
Like, we just had a testimonial recently from one of our members who, through working with us, not only did he get through COVID relatively unscathed, he also tripled his gross revenue. So that's a monster win. So yeah, there's the obvious answers of, we will help you make more money. And we have tons of case studies and testimonials of how. Kind of going back to the emotional support piece, like, I don't want to name names on the podcast, but like a laundry list of members who it's like that thought partner and that support partner really huge. Even if all they did was validate their ideas, which is not how every coaching call goes, but sometimes it is.
Yeah.
Having that person where it's like, yes, I've got these systems in place and we held you accountable to doing that thing. I feel more confident in my ideas. I improved my team meeting structure. We're not running around like chickens with their head cut off. I don't think anyone's actually verbatim said that to me, but that's my interpretation of how they were operating before. And there's something to be said for not just, you've got more money, but it's also, you've got more freedom and you're more organized and expectations are clear. Like when A happens, then we do B, then we do C. And having that in place so a gym owner can then like go on vacation, or another person can do consultations, or someone handled sessions while you were away. The list goes on of all the benefits for that, but it really is coming around like freeing up time, which is not just your time as the owner. Because we work with your entire team, we treat your business as the client, not you as the client. The whole team is like, oh, that's so much better. That works easier. There's a better structure for everything goes.
Yeah. Well said. Yeah, I think that's it. I don't think I have much to add. Is that I think the main benefits I've gotten from working with business coaches, I've seen people get, is that we are able to identify our challenges more quickly, build systems to help our business run more efficiently, more effectively, with less effort over time. And because of all that, I'm more clear and strategic about how I spend my time. Like, that is a thing I've seen over and over again, that all of that has a ripple effect into my personal life and my family, to the team members I work with. So having those systems in place that make expectations clear makes everyone more efficient with their time. And because of that, we can have more life outside of work, which is why we work to begin with for many of us. Right? And so I think that's great. I think let's leave it there, my friend. Again, this dovetailed beautifully with enrollment for Unicorn Society, even though we weren't planning this. So again, if you want to work more with us and you're a gym owner who wants a business coach, we can do all the things we talked about here and more. And so go learn more about Unicorn Society, click the link below, fill out the application, have a conversation with Ben, and let's see if we're a right fit for each other. And if this podcast was valuable, leave us a 5-star review everywhere you listen. And let us know what you want us to talk about next. Ben's going to be a regular on the podcast now, so email him, ben@businessofunicorns.com. Email me, michael@businessofunicorns.com. Let us know what guests you want us to have, what topics you want to cover, and we're excited to serve. And so let us serve you. Awesome. Thanks for a great conversation, Ben.
Thank
See
you
you on the next one.
Bye-bye.